Hi. Good evening, everyone. Today we have for another episode at VUTV, we have Maya and Arjun, young filmmakers with us. I would love to know about your journey. Then we would love to talk about how you have influenced a lot of people with your journey around crowdfunding. So, starting with you, Maya, if you wanna quickly introduce yourself.
Hello. Hi, thanks for joining to everyone who is watching this. I'm Maya, as he introduced. I'm a filmmaker. I do both animation and live action. And I'm also a third year undergrad student right now. I study animation, fine arts animation, and I've been making art since I was a child. So that has never stopped. But I've been making films for about 3, 4 years now, at least full blown productions. And this is the first time I'm ever making a 40-minute long live action film with this much of a stake and the professional crew and everything else at hand. So this is the first time ever, but it's more than anything, this is a script we were really, really excited about. And once I wrote it, I knew I had to put it out there. So I guess that's how it came about. So thank you for
Lovely.
having us here. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Maya, for quickly introducing yourself. Arjun, over to you.
Yeah. Hi. I'm also from Shishti. I'm in the second year, and I love storytelling, with whatever medium it may be, whether it's films, whether it's anything interactive. So I love exploring and combining different mediums. So Maya reached out to me about this film, and so for the past few months, we have been working together. I'm working as the assistant director and as a sound recorder for this film.
Lovely, Arjun. So, I think I'll just start the quick introduction, like how I got in touch with you. So, I saw your post around Taxiwali where you were raising funds, and that got me curious to the conversation. I wanted to understand what made you thought of raising funds, like raising funds for your film, rather not reaching out directly to producers for the film. Like, what was the reason behind it?
I mean, to be fair, I did go to a producer. There was one in Chennai that I went to. I am originally from Chennai. So I went there, I spoke to someone who has a production house. It's a director, it's also the founder of the production house who's been doing that for years and years. It's a very well established production house. And when I was talking to him, I realized he said, no, short films don't get funded. Even though ours is 40 minutes long, which is technically still a short film, but and it hasn't been shot yet because we will be starting shoot in the next week. And
Okay.
yeah, and we reached the producer. So I went to him, I spoke to him. He was like, no way it gets funded. You have to either apply for grants, which we were going to do. But the only problem is that
Mhm.
takes a long, long time to come through. And the chances are also slim. And we were going to do that. And I would like to do that sometime in the future for other films. But then this one, we felt like it was the right time to start it. So we realized there was something that we had to do to get producers off our backs. So no creative influence. No one's coming to tell us this is what you can do. This is a choice you're not allowed to make in the film. Because I wrote it and I want it to be shot the way I wrote it, and we want to film it the way it does justice to the character in the story. So the only way to go about that was through donations, which is basically crowdfunding. Yeah.
Lovely. So, Arjun, do you agree with the fact which Maya mentioned out, right? You have more of creative liberty as of now because no producer is backing it up. So, was the creative freedom and the creative liberty which you are getting right now is gonna change the perception how it's gonna be shot?
Yeah, definitely. I think the main reason here being that we're not chasing profit here. That's the main reason why producers also denied any sort of funding for us because this film is not going to make us profit. Everybody who is involved with it is purely involved with it for the love of stories, for the love of just sharing something that matters to everyone. So we don't expect it to like make a profit, but what we expect for it to be is something that is generally something beautiful and something that we are proud of making. And so we are not really worried about all of that. And so that definitely adds a kind of criteria where we are more independent. Even when Maya and I have been discussing about the crowdfunding route and how we're going to market the film, the main thing has been whether we want to take all the behind the scenes or anything related to that based on how commercial it is supposed to be, or whether we actually want to just focus on the making of the film itself. So there have been battles there, but yeah, I definitely agree with it.
Lovely. So I'm quite amazed with the fact that you being quite like you're just in your graduation right now and you have taken up a bold step to produce your own film. Uh, it must be a interesting journey. And by the way, for all the people who are watching it, they've already raised out 3 lakh plus funds as of now, which I have just validated with Maya. So how has been the journey all from the idea to raising to designing the campaign for the raising the funds? So Maya,
Uh,
over to you.
yeah, so initially I had I'd been thinking of this idea for over 2 years now. It's been a long time. It came through interactions. So I believe stories come through people. And as a
Hmm.
human being, I believe the first and foremost thing you do is talk to different kinds of people, not to get anything out of it for no reason, no transaction involved at all. Just because as a human being, the most important thing is social connection. And to do that, you need
Right.
to talk to people of all kinds, all backgrounds, even if you don't necessarily know their language, there are still ways to communicate. So that's something that I've tried practicing as an artist and as a person in general my whole life. And through that is how I've come to all the stories I've ever created. And that's how Taxiwali also came about, because I've been speaking to drivers and I realized so many of them are just invisibilized. You don't necessarily, you get into the car, but you never look at the driver. It's almost like it's an
Hmm.
automatic car, every single car, especially with the Rapido and Uber system. And then I realized I had to tell the story, and I started writing it. I initially wrote it for the role of a man, a male taxi driver, and then that was something that was bugging me. A faculty of mine, she's a well-known filmmaker as well, and she asked me, why does it have to be a man? Why not a woman? She asked a
Hmm.
gender question, and I'm like, yeah, that struck to me. And after that, when I wrote it for a man, it didn't really work for me. So during the treatment stage, I changed it entirely and I made it about a woman. But there was a challenge that this was a woman who was disguised as a man. And so from there, it started with writing the treatment, and then it was just me on board at that point. And so I wrote the treatment, I wrote the first draft almost. And as I was doing it, I was going to apply for a grant, but then I realized that grant gives money only to full time filmmakers and
Hmm.
professional filmmakers. So I realized that was not going to go anywhere. And I reached out to some faculty who helped me out with the production budget, an idea of it at least. And then I reached out, I thought, okay, there is no way I can do this without a sound recordist. And I reached out to Arjun. And that is how he initially came on board as a sound recordist. And as we were talking about the film and as we were talking about planning, I realized, okay, he's practically an assistant director. And he is as much a collaborator with on this project as I am. So we
That's
had to
true.
do it together. And through that, I guess I started finding people. People reached out to me through the casting call, which went through many places like the Kannada subreddit, which happened to be a place where I found so many people. And so I guess the logline was what stood out to people, because human beings are really looking for a connection. And for
Right.
stories,
Yeah.
yeah, and stories that don't necessarily get told a lot. And through that, we found a lot of people who reached out to me. And that's how I found my lead actor as well. And they were all okay with the fact that it was a very, very low budget film and that it was made by students. Because I feel like student filmmakers get a bad rep, even though we are just filmmakers, because we're going to be students for the rest of our lives. Yeah, so
Great.
it's a crazy journey. I'm sure he can
Crazy
add.
journey. Yeah. Certainly, and also the way every limitation for you was a new opportunity for yourself, right? So like you were finding it difficult to position yourself in front of the producers, then you found out the grants journey. Then you thought, okay, grants will take up time. Why not to reach out to people? So every limitation was creating a new opportunity for you to find a way out there. It has been a great journey to understand this process. Arjun, I'm curious to understand when Maya reached out to you, first initially as a capacity for sound recorders, and how did you find the opportunity and what made you collaborate with us? Because she has barely mentioned out your mention in the collaboration for the project. So what was the initial reaction and how did you find that?
So I think we were already sort of familiar with each other beforehand. We knew of each other, we knew of each other's works. But when she reached out to me, I had no idea that this was a film that was in development or what would happen over the next few months. To me, initially, it was just, okay, that you want to make a film with me, something that sounds really interesting, sounds something worthwhile. And so let's just do it. I did not have any idea about the scale of the project or how big it would be, how long it would take, none of that. For me, it was just creating something that we both felt connected to, we both felt passionate towards. And
Hmm.
so I think that was at the core of it, which is still true. So from there we started, and everyone who is connected with the film right now, I think carries that same belief that we are just doing it because we want to create something beautiful.
Great, yeah. One interesting part which Maya focused out key, like also I have a similar anecdote with me. So way back in 2023, I had written up a post on LinkedIn, primarily thankful to all the Rapido captains.
Okay.
So, this was also limited to my journey in Chennai. If you remember, in December 2023, there was floods in Chennai, right? In
Yeah.
December 2023 onset. So I was stuck up in Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad for in this tri-city for a month, where I was working with multiple brands for activations. So the easy commute for me was to take up a Rapido ride. Now, during the whole journey process, I was interacting with a lot of Rapido captains because, like, I was me like myself as a lonely spot because I was just traveling alone for work, and the Rapido captains were kind of a companionship for me. Now, during this process, I analyzed that there are some Rapido captains who are there to find it as a side gig. Okay. Now, there are people who are just here to make the best out of their free time. Now, there are college people, there are college folks who are just doing it to get some more pocket money or like a passive income. And now some people are doing it for a full-fledged life. Okay. Some people are taking it as they're between the jobs, they have lost their job due to COVID, and there's between the jobs are finding it. So the observations and the expectations also is very different. And I have a strong belief that like one of the Rapido captain was looking for a job. But every person he was taking on boarded, he was asking for a referral. Now, these are some of the, yeah, the every person he was asking for a referral, and I had shared up a whole case around this, and I got an appreciation from Rapido. Now I can really relate the whole fact that we don't really bother about the people who are driving us out, okay, who are making our lives easier. So I can completely relate with your, and I'm excited to watch it out after your post production. But because I can relate the whole incident, because in 2023 I had written up this post on LinkedIn, and it flew. It really flew well, and got an appreciation from Rapido also to basically appreciate the efforts of the captain. So I could sense the real thoughts behind this journey as well.
That's actually really good. I'm glad you shared that anecdote as well. Because I mean, yes, you're right. At the end of the day, it's a very similar story. Something that
Hmm.
everyone has possibly faced, everyone watching this perhaps, but has not really realized or has thought about. So it's really nice that you thought about that then as well. And that is what connected you to our, it's not necessarily just our idea anymore. It's not something that I wrote it myself, yes, of course. But then now it's a larger idea. It belongs to a
Hmm.
lot more people. So I think it's very beautiful that you found that connection for it.
Lovely. Yeah. Even the fact you mentioned about you used Reddit as a source to basically look for your casting, uh, for your basically crew members, and even you found the lead actor from Reddit. So how does it look like to pitch to people, not to investors? Like what kind of, or so is it like you're pitching to the your audience to whom who can support you for a journey? How does it look like to pitch to people?
I mean, it's an interesting thing for sure because I have never liked putting my art out there into the world for everyone to come and fund. So I've always, my films, so far, I've only made it just by myself or with maybe two more people, and that's it. So it has never been the biggest, I haven't been the biggest fan of putting it out there for the world to come and say, hey, this is how much I'm giving you for it, or this is what you need to do. I don't like it necessarily being a public endeavor. But we realized there is literally no other way to do it. And we both share that opinion as well. And so we realized, okay, we had to do it. And we were speaking and we were like, okay, let's drop a pitch. And then I gave him ideas and he also drew up the entire pitch desk. And then we realized, okay, now we have to figure out a way to tell people exactly what we're going to do with their money, because you can't, and also tell them that this is not something that's for profit, number one. So you're going to get nothing out of this except for a good film, hopefully. But it's also the fact that you're not necessarily, there are no returns. There is no part except for the fact that you are contributing to this film being made. So I think that is something that so we did send it to a lot of people, but then there are very few people who reached out back to us saying, hey, I love this. We want to donate to you. Because I think the transparency also helped a lot. And I'm pretty sure he can also elaborate on that.
Yeah, definitely. Um, I think when we were discussing, okay, how do we want to pitch to people? First, we started with the pitch deck and we were thinking, what is the main thing that will make people care about the film? Is it about it being a student film? Is it about the fact that we are talking about taxi drivers, people who are usually really sadly ignored? And we realized it was a culmination of it. It wasn't just one thing, and people cared about a lot of different things. So that's the kind of approach we used where we started making the website, and the website for the film, for the crowdfunding, it highlights all of these things that what exactly should people care about.
Nice, yeah. Matlab, I can understand the journey. And like, I assume ki this was the first time you were making a pitch deck because during your journey of design, you must haven't thought of putting it out, right? Uh, I would be very happy to understand one more aspect of it. When you decided the way forward, you want to go with the crowdfunding approach, what were the initial reactions from your peer group? Because there must be some sort of a wow, or was it like what was the did you find any apprehension from your faculty, parents? What were the initial reactions from your society, from your near and dear ones?
I mean, the primary thing that I heard was, no way, yeah, you're going to reach 3 lakhs with just random people paying you. Strangers are not going to pay that much for nothing. So I guess that was literally the biggest thing I heard from people I look up to, from people I trust, from people who've had experience in the game of making a film. And they were like, yeah,
Hmm.
unless and until you have people who are willing to fund you just because you are you, people are not necessarily going to fund a film. And I mean,
Hmm.
through crowdfunding, I've realized, yes, there are a bunch of people who fund it because we are making it as students, or because they know each of us individually. They know the people who sent it. But there are also so many people, the biggest contributor of the film. There was a person who is also a cinephile like you and like us, and reached out and contributed with almost a lakh. And that was our,
Oh,
yeah, that was the biggest
major
con.
sum.
Yes, and he didn't even do it because someone he knew was on it or nothing like that. It was literally just because he believed in the film, and he found the commitment to making a website, to actually putting in the effort to show that, hey, this is a story we really want to tell, and we need your help in telling it. And through that, he crowdfunded and he helped us out, and so many other people helped us out. Like even the 500 rupees that people send helps a lot because it builds towards the 3 lakhs. So I guess that is the first thing we heard was, no one's gonna pay you.
I think it also boils down to the efforts, right? Like how you have rightly addressed, people see the efforts putting it out and you are in the right direction. And like because you have mentioned out the fact that the student card, primarily the student card was also a great bonus for you because they could see that intent behind yeah, they are also on the right journey. Now this brings to me another anecdote which I want to share. So during my journey of being a student, and so I completed my Bachelor of Business. So I also thought of, so I also love to travel. So I thought of traveling, taking up an foreign trip just out of crowdfunding. So I raised funds to travel to Sri Lanka, and that was also through an impact. Now I could relate to the same factor. I also I have taken up. It took me a month to raise up 1.5 lakhs to spend 3 months in Sri Lanka. And that was because of, so basically Sri Lanka was a part, as a nation, they were in a state of turmoil where they were facing a lot of issues in terms of political turmoil and the depression. And after post-COVID, they were facing economic sort of, like economic crisis. They were basically facing economic crisis. And I could relate to, so my vision was to help the tea communities, the tea plantation workers, support the batik art. So batik is a form of art which is very popular in Indonesia and Sri Lanka. So to support this art form and the tea plantation workers, and also help the tourism industry in basically in destination marketing. And this was the vision, and I think that's the relation, right? Like when you saw when I had put it out to the larger audience, and I was reaching out to a lot of people in my network, and I was like, "Hey," there were a lot of no's, and at the same time there were good amount of yes as well. But when the first check comes in, it's like a motivation for you, and it's like it works as a driver for you for getting more checks, right? I
Definitely.
could completely.
That's actually really nice that you did all of that. And I mean, I've never heard of crowdfunding to travel. So that's actually really beautiful. Because I guess
Yeah, yeah.
at the end of
So
the day, it is about stories. Like you want to go explore stories.
So yeah, the only thing I had to offer was my impact and my idea of helping the communities. So that was the bigger thing. They don't, the people who had supported me, they didn't have the time, but they had the intent. I had the time, I didn't have the money. So that's how I could sense it up. And that was my offering. You want to support this community? I'm here to support it up. I would need your money to help me out. So I think that's the pitch. I think it's all about there are any lot of hidden aspirations and hidden desires which you want to help out in some or the other form.
Yeah,
This one.
I completely agree. Even with us, it's a bunch of people also told us it's the fact that we love watching movies and we love stories getting made. And here, I mean, I don't have time to do it because I have office, is what a lot of people say.
Hmm.
But I'll at least give it to you in hopes that you make something out of it.
Lovely. Uh, I think a very important part which I want to understand because you had mentioned out the crowdfunding cinema, like, because I see this as a great tool for independent filmmakers to shine out. So how do you see this being a disruption in the near future? Like, do you see this is going to be the disruption in the near future and it's going to get more young filmmakers onto the platform?
I mean, that's a good question because crowdfunding, I think, is something, as you were saying, like yourself, has always existed. People have,
Hmm.
from the beginning of time, people have helped each other out in ways that are not just monetary and also kind to make sure the other person gets to do what they want to do. Because if you can, might as well help out. So I think, I mean, young filmmakers already do it. And there are so many that for us as well, like Arjun kept sending me Instagram posts of different people who crowdfund for their movies. Because I mean, yes, it's a lot of people who do it already. It's just that they don't necessarily get enough reach, perhaps. And I think for us, this is the first time we've gotten to speak about it in a public forum. And I mean, from my side, yes, I completely believe people are going to do it more and more. And but I do think people are already doing it enough. It's just that that's not something that's necessarily put into the world. The limelight is not there.
And
Makes sense.
to add to that, it's also a very scary idea that you want to create this thing that you are generally connected to, and you want to do it through crowdfunding, where there is no guarantee that you will actually reach your goal. And even if you do reach your goal, even if you do put it out into the world, you don't know how successful it might be or whether it might actually be worth something. And for students, before this project, because this is also our first budgeted film, it felt like a big jump that, okay, you are creating a film that is being crowdfunded. Okay, how much is the budget? It's 3 lakhs. You're not going to reach that. So it feels like a big jump. But we took it on, and once you start breaking down the steps, it feels doable. And I think for students it's such a big deal because whenever you attach the word student to anything, it feels like a low scale thing. Feels like you are cutting corners, you're just trying to make something which is not done to its full strength. But
Yeah.
just through this idea that, okay, it is possible that you can crowdfund, you can gain the support that you need to put something out into the world is, I think, really inspirational.
Certainly, I think your journey still speaks to a lot of the people who are who are looking it out, and they'll be really getting inspired. Their dreams can get a shape out of crowdfunding. Yeah. So sorry, Maya, you were saying something?
No, no, no. I was just saying I agree with that, and I hope it does. Yeah,
Certainly, certainly.
please go on.
Uh, a piece of advice for young filmmakers: how to personal brand themselves as filmmakers, as designers. Piece of advice from both of you.
Well, I think for me personally, it starts from just figure out what you want to tell to the world. Because I think so. I mean, this is a funny thing to say, but I think as a filmmaker, as an artist, and a storyteller, you have a lot of power, and with great power comes great responsibility. So I do. I mean, that's a quote from Spider-Man. But I that is something I truly believe in, and I have said
Hmm.
it in a lot of my juries as well with facilitators, because I believe at the end of the day, I am also a very privileged person to be able to have the funding myself to be able to be in a college and then also be able to do this. So yes, that comes with a lot of support from parents, friends, everyone, but
Right.
primarily from the fact that I come from a privileged background, or both of us do. And because of that, it is a lot easier for us to do this, because
Hmm.
we don't need to worry about our basic necessities being met, and we don't need to necessarily worry about the basic things we do getting met. So we have the luxury to sit and think about what we want to tell to the world. And I think for me personally, I believe privilege is something that's it's a great power, and I need to do something with it. And filmmaking is how I look at the world, how I talk to the world, and that is how I process things in general, art. And so to me, I think the best thing I can say to any person, and primarily artists, is that if you believe you have the luxury to be able to help someone, if you have the luxury to be able to tell a story that might not get told otherwise. I don't think taxi drivers necessarily have the time to make a movie about themselves, or the ability to in terms of monetary budgets, and
Hmm.
that and the state of mind to be able to do that without having to worry about basic survival. So if you do have that platform, if you have the ability to be able to do something with the talent you have, with the time you have, then you should. So think of a story that matters, think of something that you want to tell to the world, and do it, give it everything you have, because you have one life, might as well.
Lovely. So I appreciate the humbleness of the privilege you mentioned out. I appreciate that. And also the way out you mentioned out, not everyone has the independent voices, and you being a filmmaker are sharing this out. So that's a great piece of growth. Yeah. Arjun, over to you.
Yeah. Uh, One key thing that we keep bringing up whenever we are discussing the crew is that none of us are actually pursuing film as a professional career. Uh,
Okay.
all the students connected to it, even the professionals, they are not directly film majors in a manner of speaking. And I think that's a really beautiful thing that we didn't really choose film, but rather it was something that we generally felt connected to. And we tend to fit ourselves into these boxes that just because I'm pursuing something, I have to continue onto that path. But it's never like that, especially with so many beautiful films, we have seen this that there's no one way to define yourself. And
Hmm.
this film, I think, creates a great representation of that.
Certainly, yeah. And I think it's going to be very interesting. Not all the people that you mentioned out, all the crew is not from film, but you're putting up a film out. And I think that's a great piece to understand. Uh, Maya, over to you. I think you want to share the piece key, how sooner we are going to see Taxiwali on screens. And last piece of
It definitely.
thought.
So, I mean, we're going to start shoot next week, and we will start it in our space right here in Bangalore. And we
Okay.
are going to be doing it over weekends, because we are both college students. A lot of people from our crew are, and my DOP, our camera person, is a software worker. So he works in an IT company, and he does a 9 to 5 or more than five usually. So he also reached out to me through the Kannada subreddit. His name is Praveen, and he does amazing work. And more than anything, he's also someone who's really passionate about the film. And so
Okay.
is my lead actor Shruti Rao, who's an incredible theater artist and a director of her own, who reached out because she felt connected to the story. So I think, I mean, we are going to start shoot next week, but we will be able to do it only over weekends, and it's going to take a long time to be able to make a film. But I mean, once we go on set, it's magic. So we do believe we will be able to finish this by May in terms of shooting, and we see it as a post production of 2 months or so, to be able to give the film enough time to come to, because as most people say, films are made in the editing room, because
Hmm.
that's when you truly piece it together with everything you have. How does it
Right.
work now? How do you tell one cohesive? How is there a cohesive vision? Right. So we
Right.
do see it coming out. I mean, coming out in screens in terms of laptop screens, because I don't think theaters do 40-minute film. But we will be submitting it to film festivals, and we'll see what life the film takes of its own after that.
Lovely. We wish you the best for your journey with Taxiwali, and we are excited to see it on our laptop screens whenever it is whenever it is ready. Thank you, Maya. Thank you, Arjun, for coming over here, sharing your incredible journey of crowdfunding cinema. I hope it was helpful for all the people who are watching it out. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I did want to
Thank
say,
you.
which is we will also be screening it in colleges and schools. So we would love to start with your place.
Love to, surely. And I think this is all for all the people who are from different colleges. Do reach out to them to screen it out in their respective colleges.
Yeah, and also you can reach out to us just to get information about the film, filmmaking, anything at all. We're like you basically, so we're open to talk anytime. We're not intimidating figures.
Great, great,
Thank
great,
you
great.
so much for having us here. It was genuinely very, very nice to talk about this, to talk about it on a platform that believes in us as well, to talk about it with university that reached out to us to talk about this. So that's really nice of you.
Thank you, Maya. Thank you, Arjun.